Hello, people of the world. I am Atlas. Welcome back to the channel. So I've actually decided to start filming some of my original oratories that I gave last year and the year before that. So that's freshman and sophomore year of high school in speech and debate. They're a very easy video to film. However, I do not have these speeches memorized. So I'm going to be like looking at the script. I'm also going to be sitting down because they're just very hard to film in like my style. So it might not be the best video, but it's definitely gonna be an interesting video, and I want to share it anyway because I worked really hard on these speeches, and a lot of them I made big mistakes in round. So I wouldn't say I'm good at speech and debate. I wouldn't even say these are like perfect speeches. If you want to see a really good speech, go watch like finals rounds and stuff. But I'm proud of them and I worked really hard on them. I'm gonna give my sophomore original oratory in this video. And original oratory is a 10-minute problem solution speech. And this one is about fear-mongering. It's called Just When You Thought It Was Safe to Go Back on the Internet, which is a quote from Jaws 2, I think. This year, my original oratory is about pessimism, but that's a really broad topic, so I'm gonna be rewriting it to have a better topic, because I just think that'll be done. Well, I can't speak today. What a great day to film this. Yeah, this year my original oratory is about pessimism. I'm going to change it though because that's a very broad topic and it'll do better in round if it's like not a broad topic. So maybe I'll give this year's old pessimism speech soon as well after I rewrite it completely with a new topic, whatnot. So yeah, let's get into this speech. Breaking news. 84 people were attacked by sharks in 2023. Yeah, I know. 84 whole people. Well, not exactly whole anymore. For the record, there were only 15 fatalities out of that 84, which means your darling dog Fifi is more likely to kill you than a shark. And you still love her. Blockbuster movies like Jaws and The Meg create fear around sharks where there shouldn't be. And it's peak fear-mongering. The action of intentionally making people unnecessarily afraid. So today, we're gonna be sharks, because like them, we're victims of this. First, we'll bite into the fear-mongering headlines and our bad news bias. Then, we'll swim through some dark waters and realize how our fears are exploited. And finally, like what the hammerhead shark does to stingrays, we're going to pen down that misinformation with our big heads and get it out of here. Fear-mongering or scaremongering is manipulation at its finest. It's an exaggeration of a situation to play with your emotions, elicit a response, and shock you into persuasion. And it's spread because of our negativity bias. Psychologists A. Weish, T. Grossman, and A. Woodward have found that adults consume more negative things than positive and regard them to be more informative. The New York Times article, Bad News Bias, highlights just that. The U.S. displayed negative news about COVID-19 87% of the time. That's 31% more than international countries, even when things were getting better. With our bias and our scrolling, the headlines work to give us mean world syndrome. Developed by George Gerbner, mean world syndrome is believing that the world is more mean, nasty, violent, or whatever word you want to use than it really is. The fear-mongering prevalent in day-to-day news articles with the intention of appealing to our biases can very well shift our worldview to be more negative. This explains why, after a long journey through X, I want to write a nasty letter, curl up into a ball, and become one with the earth. If there even is an earth left, who's to say we won't simultaneously burst into flames if we don't reach our carbon emission goals by 2030? See that right there? That, induced by dread-mongering climate change headlines, is fear, which is one of our 4 basic emotions, sadness, anger, and joy being the other 3. Psychologists Olson and Phelps believe that it is the most crucial to our survival because of the defense that comes along with it. But that doesn't mean it's not still a negative emotion. Where joy's reaction is reward and sadness's is punishment, anger and fear cause stress. Much like public speaking. This is important because stress impairs decision-making by getting in the way of the cognitive functions trying to protect you from pure emotion. Knowing this, it's no surprise that using fear in messages is twice as effective than not, and politicians know this fact all too well. They also know it's been proven that when people are stressed about an election, they won't vote in it. So logically, we just have to throw around baseless accusations about our opponents so that people get too stressed and don't vote. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but I'd like to not be taken advantage of when I'm scared and stressed, which is all of the time from now until forever if the news keeps feeding our negativity bias. Another thing to know about fear-mongering is that, by definition, it's gross exaggeration at the least and total misinformation at the worst. Like the misinformation that sharks are dangerous. Or, my favorite, that the climate crisis was made up by the government to control us. Because everybody knows that the best way to control a country is by making it as hot as Taylor Swift. But you know what is a good way to control people? Propaganda. Britannica's definition of propaganda is the dissemination of information, facts, arguments, rumors, half-truths, or lies to influence public opinion. Yeah, it's usually pretty bad. And you can't have propaganda without scaring people in one way or another. I often see pictures of Uncle Sam and Rosie the Riveter in school. And while yes, that's propaganda in one form, a lot of my former teachers have made it out to be just good marketing campaigns and, like them, a thing of the past. Unfortunately, propaganda isn't going anywhere. Some of it has just gone undercover, like Uncle Sam basically becoming the Army's slogan, "Be all you can be." And then there's less undercover, but still successful propaganda, like what North Korea puts out. For 7 decades, the Kim dynasty has implanted into North Korean citizens' brains the need to fear the rest of the world. The brainwashing starts young, with the recruitment of children into the military from kindergarten and exaggerated bedtime stories of the evil foreigners from the Korean War. The primary use of this is to convince the population that the dynasty is the only thing that can protect them. The dictatorship of North Korea is a fascist state characterized by a priority of the military over human rights, contempt for democracy, and a strong installation of nationalism. No one nation is safe from fascism, including the United States. Now, no matter what you think of him, Donald Trump calling Biden's White House officials fascist thugs is nothing less than hypocrisy. On NPR after the 2020 election, Jason Stanley, a philosophy professor at Yale, stated that Trump's campaign and attempt at overturning election results were fascist moves. To quote Stanley, this is because fascism is a cult of a leader who promises national restoration in the face of supposed humiliation by minorities, liberals, and immigrants. The campaign in question was built on the fear of what would happen to America under Biden. For example, the 2020 campaign ad Break-In shows an old lady's home getting broken into, and there are no 911 dispatchers there to answer the phone because they've all been defunded. The text on the screen states, "You won't be safe in Joe Biden's America." Additionally, Trump spread and still spreads claims of voter fraud that have been debunked several times over, trying to undermine our democracy. And the beating heart of his message is that without him in control, we're in danger. Sound familiar? Throughout history, fear-mongering and propaganda has been used to promote the military, push ideologies, and dehumanize demographics, leading to genocide. But it also works on a smaller scale. In 2012, 5-year-old me thought the world was going to end, because that's what I saw when I watched YouTube in the grocery store checkout line. Did I know who the Mayans were? No. Did I know that there were more calendars than the one hanging on my fridge? No. That was my mom running by, sorry. Did I know there were more calendars than the one hanging on my fridge? No. Did I know that a Mayan calendar ending meant the world was going to end? No, I was a stupid kid who grew into a stupid preteen who genuinely thought we were going to simultaneously burst into flames if we didn't reach our carbon emission goals by 2030. Though, to be fair, after living through that last Oklahoma summer, I wouldn't be surprised if we did. I've had some pretty high stress and anxiety levels because my ancestors hate me or something, so keeping the amount of exaggerated news to a minimum is very important. It is to all of us. To combat the fear-mongering news headlines, we have to avoid them. Show the companies what we want. Combat your biases. Speaking of biases, be aware that news sites and channels will have them when accepting their information. And I can't believe I have to say this, but if you see something on social media, fact check it for accuracy, I beg of you. Of course, the world isn't perfect, and a lot of negative news articles portray the reality of our situation. You'll get scared and stressed because that's life. However, we can start to manage our fears better and sift through the fictitious and the factual ones. Biopsychologist Mary Poffenroth has a mechanism called RIA, or R-I-A. These letters stand for recognize, identify, and address. So, for example, I'm scared of sharks, and I'm scared of them because they have sharp teeth and are super big. There's my R in my eye. So now let's address this fear by learning that their skeletons are made of cartilage. The smallest is the size of my hand, and they're usually just curious when they come up to people. Don't provoke. And voila, I've been converted from a shark hater to a shark lover. Sharks are actually pretty docile, and like a spider, more scared of you than you are of them. But the great white shark, those things are strong. So the last idea I'll impart on you is this. What if we sent the sharks to lessons to become more like orcas so that they could team up and take down the yachts of fascists? Would taking a large chunk out of them not solve a large chunk of our problems? Great. So you work on that RIA fact-checking thing, and I'm gonna go form a shark-orca alliance and then assemble a military. These dystopian, fear-mongering fueled futures are going down. And much like it was when I filmed that last original oratory that I posted, I am now late to an arrangement. Why do I do this to myself? In conclusion, I really liked that original oratory. I definitely, when I know I spoke it really fast there, and that's something I got repeatedly on my ballots last year, but I try not to do that, actually. I don't usually speak that fast. Look at my cute pants. That was there was a lot of things that could have been fixed, so I can't wait to see what this season's speech and debate becomes. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.